So today I'd like to talk about truth, as in truth in data, truth in tick boxes, as in, we fill out tick boxes for all sorts of things in life, and I think it can give a very false story. So we'll start with some data. So a good example of this would be, for example, spelling. You could have a spelling test, I may have said this before in previous blogs, but you could have a spelling test where you kept getting 5 out of 10. What that tells somebody who just looks at the numbers is that, well, then you're not getting any better. You're getting 5 out of 10, and you got 5 out of 10 before, and you're getting 5 out of 10 now. What it might actually mean, though, is that you've made tremendous improvement. That 5 out of 10 could have started the year as being totally bizarre spelling, no idea what you're trying to say. And then you could have gradually moved to maybe having just a few sounds omitted, or maybe an additional sound, or maybe a few reversals, but gradually somebody can work out what you're trying to say, and then you might actually get to a point where you're close in terms of phonics. It's sort of almost what, if you read what's written, it's almost what the word says. And then you could get to one where phonically it's correct. You're actually writing the right sounds for the word you're trying to spell, but it's not accurate, it's not correct. So you're still getting 5 out of 10. And that's one of the problems I have with test results and data. When I do assessments for anybody who's got dyslexia, I don't do the computer ones. I like to do the face-to-face paper assessments because I'm getting as much out of how that person answers the question. That was something I was reading recently, where the child scored really low in terms of verbal reasoning. There was nothing wrong with that child's verbal reasoning. They just couldn't read the paper. That's not therefore a verbal reasoning test, it's actually a reading assessment. And I've had that with pupils I've taught over the years, where that actually they can reason verbally, they can work things out, they've got really good minds if you're doing it without any reading involved. But you put the reading into it and that changes things, because actually the issue is one of reading. So these are things that really need to be considered. So when you're doing an assessment, you need to know what it's actually assessing, and is it actually assessing whatever it is it says it's going to assess. So that's an important point in terms of data. So data is something which, anyone who's studied statistics knows that things can be changed, depending on how you word something, it can make a huge difference. But the reason I'm actually talking about it this week is because I'm thinking of a couple of people who have been turned down for various benefits. So, there's the blue badge benefit, disability living allowance benefit, all sorts of different aspects of benefits. And the problem with it is it's a tick box. So can you walk this far? Yes, tick. Right, you're not eligible. But what if the actual nuance behind that hasn't been expressed? Yes, I can walk that far, but I have to stop every few minutes for a break because I have to get my breath back, or because it's hurting my legs too much, or I just need that time to just sort of sit down, okay, get up, walk again, unaided. But that doesn't mean you can walk. That can be a serious issue. Can you do this for yourself? Yes. The fact that it takes 3 hours instead of half an hour is not actually there on the form for you to sort of say, well, yes, I can do it, however. There's no however, yes, no. That yes, no doesn't allow for any of these nuances. So somebody recently, they applied for a blue badge. Now, the child is autistic. So, the questions, I've just looked online to see the questions for getting a blue badge. Do you have vision issues? No. Are you in serious danger if you're near traffic? No. Can you walk? Yes. Oh, you're not eligible for a badge. Well, hang on a minute. What if the noise of the traffic or the proximity to the traffic is so traumatic that you're going to have a meltdown? You're not actually physically in danger. You're not endangering anyone else. But it doesn't mean you don't need the badge. And it's this, you know, what then happens with all of these things, and I've seen it before, a lot of people at this point, they get turned down, they think that's the end of the story. The same is true with the EHCP plans, education, health and care plans. If, you know, you quite often things get turned down first time. Now there's me being very cynical here. This is a way of saving money, you know, because if you turn it down, you don't have to pay out. But quite often these people will then win on appeal if they've got the right advocacy for the appeal, if they know what it is they actually have to stipulate. The appeal can give you the opportunity, depending on the different appeal processes, the different things you're applying for, it can give you a chance to actually articulate the story behind the tick box, if you like. The tick box is so restricting. It's a yes, it's a no, it's that's all it is. The story behind the tick box tells so much more, and you need that opportunity. Now, you know, people when they go to see somebody who does the assessment, for example, if they're doing a tick box, can you do this? Yes, no. They've got to get through X number of people in X amount of time. You know, they've got to see all these people. They've got, I don't know how many hours it is to do it all, and they have to get through them all. So they're not going to spend the time on that nuance, on that yes, but. When somebody goes, you know, can you walk unaided the length of a station platform? Yes, but no, yes, right. They've ticked yes. The but is actually really important. It takes me so long that I miss the connecting train, which means that I actually have to leave home sort of 3 trains before I need to in order to catch the train I want at the other end, because it's going to take me so long to get to the connections. That's not taken into account. It should be taken into account. These things are so much more nuanced than a yes, no, can I, can't I. Just as the spelling example I gave before, you know, can hide so much. In maths, when I was at school, I'm dyslexic, as anyone who's seen any of these videos knows. I quite often get my numbers the wrong way around. Now, this doesn't matter for some things, but it does actually if you're doing phone numbers, if you're doing arithmetic and you have to add up numbers. If the numbers are the wrong way around, their value changes. Simple as that. Now, I was lucky. You got a lot of marks for your working out. My working out was spot on. I knew what I was doing. I was good at maths. But then if you're going to write 39 instead of 93, you're going to get the answer wrong. But if it's allowing for everything other than the actual answer, you stand a chance. That's fair. That's allowing for the nuance, as it were. In spelling, that doesn't happen. It did in my previous school. I devised a way of assessing things and seeing progress. So we did a 10-minute free write. And in that 10-minute free write, children at the beginning of every term wrote on anything for 10 minutes in a set book. We could easily do their words per minute. I can divide by 10, that was all right. How many spelling errors, what percentage accuracy, what type of errors. I then did an analysis of the actual type of spelling errors. And I didn't just do it for special needs pupils, I did it for everyone, so I got a general feel. And you could see, you'd get somebody who went from bizarre spelling to getting things that were close phonetically, and then you could see progress. It went down very well with the inspection team when I was at that school. They liked that system because you could see really clearly that somebody who may not have made any progress in the formalised, standardised tests that you do as a school, but actually they had made considerable progress because their spelling had moved from there to there, and it had moved through all these different stages. So and it also analysed things like the quality of the language they were using. If their vocabulary had become much more complex because their confidence had grown, they may have more spelling errors, but it's showing that they have got the confidence to use the more sophisticated vocabulary. So all these different things matter, and the most important thing I'm saying is it's nuanced. So if you are somebody who has applied for your blue badge or applied for some form of disability allowance and you've been turned down because the answers didn't ask you the questions you really needed to discuss, then appeal. Please, please, please. I'm appealing to you to appeal. If you know somebody who has been turned down and you think, hang on, they seriously need this, please persuade them to make that appeal. And if you're somebody from a school, support the parents in making these appeals. We may have come to the point in the process where we're not actually required. We can't make the appeal, for example, for an EHCP. That has to be from the parent. But we can support the parent in making that appeal. So let's do what we can to get these appeals happening. And eventually, hopefully, if there's enough appeals, maybe things will change and people will do a system where you don't need to appeal because the right questions are asked and enabled to be answered. Another box, a box that just says further discussion, that lets you put your point through, lets you present your case and add that nuance that's needed to tell the true story behind the yes, the no, the data. Thank you.